Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern, Ned Reynolds in the studio. It's Wednesday. Is it just me or is this week just flying by? I'm looking at the stuff you want me to talk about, and I'm like, oh my God, tomorrow's Thursday. The U.S. Open kicks off.
That's right. That's exactly right. It does, and it'll be teeing off, Mike, just about as we're speaking right here. Now, keep in mind, that's Eastern time zone. That's the Oakmont Country Club in Pittsburgh, and that's Eastern time. So it will be quite literally 5:40 that the young golfers, and that's what the TV folks do. They put the lesser-known names, many of them, not all of them, but many of the lesser-known names up front and let them play first, and then get the bigger names out there. So it's a whole slew. They're playing threesomes that you've never heard of. But then the big names, the Scotty Schefflers, the Colin Morikawas, and the Victor Hovlands, and people like that, they will start about 7:40 in the morning, and some of the others are teeing off in the afternoon. Now they're splitting it. Some start on the first tee, and others start on the 10th tee. There are 156 golfers vying for one of the most coveted prizes in sports, and that's the national championship of this country in golf.
And again, I think one of the best parts about the whole thing, even though it's, according to you, never happened, you can literally walk on and play in this thing if you're good enough and you qualify, which I think is pretty badass. Some interesting rule changes coming for college basketball. What do you think about these things?
Well, the biggest one will be the coaches now have a challenge like they do in the NBA, and the colleges have debated this for quite a while, but now they're going to implement it and put it in effect. It'll take place pretty much down the stretch. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, but a coach is allowed one challenge per game to an official's decision. You think it's going to be at the end of the game. If the coach is successful in having the rule overturned or whatever the case might be, he gets another chance as the game goes on. But once you fail, once your challenge is not upheld, then you have no more. That's one of them, but there's also a lot of intense discussion going on. It won't happen this year, but in changing the nature of men's college basketball. And I want you to understand this, first of all. Many, many, many years ago when I was a kid growing up, the men's basketball and college basketball was played in quarters, first, second, third, fourth quarter. It was changed in the early 60s to halves, where they played the same amount of time, but they played it in 20-minute halves. Okay, the women's game is back to quarters. The NBA plays in quarters. The international game is played in quarters. It looks as though maybe as soon as next year, the college game may be transitioning back into quarters again. It would affect the way the game is coached and the way the players are inserted by the coach and so forth and so on. So, it will make some changes, but it'll still be the same game, of course.
It'll be the same game, but definitely the strategy is going to change, especially with those breaks being increased, I guess, if they have to quarter it up. What do you think? Personally, I like the halves. That's my take, but
well, you've always seen it. It's always been the halves since you're born, and now I remember it when it was the quarters. It makes the game a little different, and it makes the timing and the insertion of players a little bit different, and makes you judge how a player, if he still has 5 fouls to remain in the game, that remains a point of contention for the coaches. But we'll see how they work it.
It's definitely going to change things if they do it. All right, we do have a little bit of an amateur golf tournament happening here soon. When's the date for that?
June 24th is when it all begins, and that's in the state of Missouri. This is one of the top prizes, the Missouri Amateur Golf Championship. It tees off June the 24th, runs through the 29th. They have 2 rounds of qualifying and then on to match play competition, and that's a lot of fun. This year, the course they're using is Old Hawthorne up in Columbia, Missouri. That's where they'll decide it all, and that's where the state's top amateurs will play the game.
And don't let the name throw you off. Amateur doesn't mean like I'm out there swinging clubs. These guys are actually pretty damn good. The St. Louis Cardinals over the last few weeks have been consistently offensive heavy, and I think that's a really good sign, especially at this part in the year. What do you think?
Well, it hasn't been against the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, keep in mind, I'll preface these remarks by saying that the Blue Jays feel like they are legitimate contenders against the Yankees. They're in the same division with the Yankees, and they're right there nipping at the Yankees' heels. Toronto's a very good baseball team. Well, they've taken the first 2 games of the series. Last night, Miles Michaelis battered by the Blue Jays, 6 runs on 9 hits. And indeed, Toronto had a big lead in this ball game. Now, this is kind of curious, Mike, but Toronto led by a score of 8-6 in the 8th inning. They added 2 runs, making it 10-6. Well, that's just decoration, right? Au contraire. They needed every single one of those runs to get the win because in the last of the 9th inning, Wilson Contreras of the Cardinals hit a 3-run homer, made the score 10-9, and that's how it ended. It was Toronto 10, the Cardinals 9. They will play the final game, the getaway game in this series this afternoon up at Busch Stadium. But the Cardinals have lost a couple in a row now. In fact, they've lost 3 in a row because they lost on Sunday as well. Need to get well and in a hurry.
Definitely do. I could say the same thing about the Royals. They're getting thumped by the Yanks right now, but they're still only 1 game behind second in their division. So they're above 500 at least.
Their challenge to Detroit is waning rapidly.
Big time.
So they need to get well. They are playing for a wild card berth, and that could happen. Now, the Royals sent their rookie phenom Noah Cameron to the hill last night, and boy, the Yankees lit him up pretty good. 6 runs on 7 hits, and knocked the young guy around and knocked him out in the 6th inning. Yankees got the win by a score of 10-2, and the Springfield Cardinals scored 8 runs on 6 hits. Now, that doesn't happen very often, and by way of comparison, when the Cardinals were playing the Dodgers last week, Friday and Saturday, the Dodgers had 19 hits and 1 run. In this game, the Cardinals had 6 hits and get 8 runs out of it. That's the way baseball works. Joshua Baez, 3 RBIs, Springfield 8, and Tulsa 3.
And finally, we got the finals left to play in the NBA. You think the Thunder's going to walk away with this thing?
I think they win eventually. Game 3 is tonight, and the series moves to the Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. It's a 1-1 series. 7:30 is when they'll tip it all Central Time, and that's the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma City is pretty doggone good, folks, but you know what? The Indiana Pacers are a resilient team. We'll see what happens, but tonight, Game 3, series tied at a game apiece.
Ned, have a wonderful Wednesday, and I will see you tomorrow.